It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everyone. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me. Today we are talking about The Valley. That's right, that new spinoff from Vanderpump Rules. It premiered. We had their first episode. What'd y'all think? Think it can make a second season? I guess we'll have to go through this season and find out exactly what happens. But it's kind of interesting how all the couples kind of know each other. So let's just chat about that a second. Now, you have your major cast members coming from Vanderpump Rules. You've got Jax and Brittany. They're married, obviously. Everybody, I think, knows that. Even though we know that they're separated and she's been living in an Airbnb. But, you know, we'll put that to the side. Then we have Kristen Doty, also from Vanderpump Rules. And this is how this is working. So Jax knows Danny, who is married to Nia. And get this, Nia comes from the pageant world. That's right. She used to be Miss USA. And she knows Raquel or Rachel. Yeah. She has been her judge in pageants. She has coached her. Matter of fact, she was even the judge for that infamous last time she competed in a pageant where Tom Sandoval came to support her as a good friend. How about that? Small world, right? Then you have Janet and Jason, and they are married. Janet was on Vanderpump Rules. I believe season 7 is what she said. She had come in and was trying to fix the girls' Sheena Shea's uniform when they got the new uniforms for Sir. And she met Sheena at a pool party in 2017. So that tells you how long Janet has known Sheena. And of course, she is married to Jason, who is an attorney. Then you have Jesse and Michelle. Okay. Now, Jesse and Michelle sold their real estate agents, luxury real estate agents, and they sold Sheena one of her homes. They're the only ones that do not live in the Valley. They were very clear about that. If you're out there, that's kind of like how it is. Like, oh, you live in the Valley? Yeah, it's like that. But Jesse knew Jax from the modeling world. They lived in New York together. So that's many, many moons ago. And then after Jax was over here with Sandoval and Schwartz, he decided to plan a ski trip in Montauk, which is on the East Coast here. So he called up Jesse, said, hey, you want to come along? And that's how Jesse met Sandoval and Tom Schwartz. See how this is all connecting? And then you have Luke. God love Luke. This is Kristen Doty's boyfriend. He is from Colorado. He is a self-entrepreneur. He owns many acres of land in Colorado. He's like a mountain man, I guess. I have no idea. He definitely loves the nature. And he does live in Colorado full time, but he has decided to come over to the Valley and spend the summer completely not leaving with Kristen. Probably while filming, is what I'm thinking. So that's how you have Luke. Now, you have two others who aren't basically parents. You have Zach, okay? Zach used to be, he was Brittany's friend from back in Kentucky. He moved to LA several years ago. And when he moved here, he lived down in the same apartment building down the hall from Janet. Okay. And then you have Jasmine. Now, Jasmine was on The Bachelor. She was also a host at SUR, so she knows all the people from Vanderpump Rules. And she happens to be friends with Sheena. And Jasmine became friends with Zach. And that's how Janet met Jasmine. See how what goes around comes around type deal? So that is the cast and how they know each other from the Valley. So, with that being said, should we get into it? I think we should, Breakers. Let's do it. You know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. Hello, everybody. We are recapping the first episode of The Valley. I know, crazy, right? That after all these years, there's a spinoff from Vanderpump Rules. I mean, this was supposedly in the works several years ago, with, the older ones kind of coming out of SUR. They don't work there anymore. And they started, buying homes in the Valley. And it was supposed to include Stassi, but didn't quite work out that way. So now we have this cast. Guys, you're going to have to excuse me because I had a long night last night and I'm a little tired. I had a lot going on yesterday. So, it's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? How they all entwine with each other. So it starts out with Jax and Brittany. They're your main two, right? And they're conversing, and Jax is going, how Jax is, we've got this podcast, and we've got the bar, and we've got the cameos, and, I'm a dad, and oh my gosh, I've got so much going on, And Brittany is like, la-di-da, with her rose-colored glasses on. And she's explaining how, they're thankful and grateful that they have friends that are plastic surgeons. I would like to have a friend that's a plastic surgeon. Just saying. Maybe I wouldn't look so tired today. And so she decided to get lipo in her chin. So she's walking around with a big bandage on. And then it shows you Kristen and Luke. This is the introduction of them and their relationship. Kristen explains that she was with her ex, Alex. She owned her home for 2.5 years, which we did see briefly on Vanderpump Rules. It was almost like a cute little cottage. And so she owned it for 2.5 years, but her ex urged her to sell it so that they could move in together. And 5 months later, they break up. Isn't that Murphy's Law, right? So she moves into an apartment and she goes to somebody's wedding and she's a bridesmaid. And Luke was a groomsman, and that's how they met. And it's been love ever since. And so now she has now moved into a nicer apartment, which is down the hall from Katie. Yeah, get that. She's down the hall from Katie. So, do they talk? I don't think they talk very much, to be quite honest. I mean, Kristen is saying they're friends, and Katie says they're friends, but are they really friends? I question that. And Kristen is now on the baby kick. She wants to have a baby. Luke apparently is on board. She's 40 years old. Everybody else is having kids around her and starting families. And, she's like, when is it my time? Which I get that, She's 40 years old and the clock definitely is ticking. It's not no judgment. That's a fact. The clock is ticking. I'm not quite sure why she just doesn't go about it like Lala did with, some sort of in vitro, but maybe she doesn't have the money. You know what I'm saying? You never know. But then they introduce Danny and Nia. Now, they have a daughter, and they just gave birth to two baby. I don't know if they're both girls or not, but they just gave birth to twins. She used to be Miss USA, and he used to be on iCarly, Hannah Montana, and now he is the voiceover for all the voiceover work on The Walking Dead, which is kind of interesting. When you hear the zombies like, that type of thing, he does the voiceover for that. So I found that very, very interesting. I know you hear me flipping through my notes, but that is the only way that I can give it to you in a recap. So basically, it comes about that, Jax always ignores Luke, like always. The girls get together and they're all over at Nia's house to see the twins. And, they are just talking. You know what I mean? Chatting about. But basically, Brittany's like, Jax ignores Luke like he doesn't even exist. Well, why is that? Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows? It's Jax. Come on. Anyway, the boys are all together. They're doing golfing. And Luke, Kristen's boyfriend, says, Kristen is the oldest girl in the group and she wants to have kids, because Jax has been like running his mouth about it. And Jax is like, I just, want to make sure that, she wants it for the right reasons. And Luke explains that they have the same mindset, that, if they have any problems between them, they put it to the side because the children always come first. And to him, having a child is more important than a ring or a wedding. Let everybody process that. And so Jesse is saying to him, well, that, a child changes the relationship, because as he explained, they were in this honeymoon phase for 7 or 8 years. And when they had their child, they only have one. She evolved into motherhood and he didn't quite evolve into fatherhood, which we kind of see bits of that throughout the show. Their relationship is definitely, you can see that even though they are being transparent, if they're not being transparent and they're trying to hide it, they're not doing a good job, because you can see that their relationship is on the rocks. Janet and Jason is probably the closest couple to Jax and Brittany. They explained that they see each other like 4 or 5 times a week. They are able to walk to each other's homes. So Jax and Brittany go over there for a little visit with the kids. And Jason is an attorney for workman's comp, the defense side. And it's kind of funny because Janet explains like how Jax, talks about, he explains it as lawyering, which is like, having lawyer traits. And Janet's like, yeah, that's, he considers the traits of being a simple adult, like opening your mail. We could see that with Jax, for sure. And so Brittany, because Janet's pregnant, she's getting ready to give birth soon. And Brittany says to Janet, how about I throw a birthday party for you? Because her birthday's coming up. How about a pool party? Because it's really hot over there. It's summertime. And Janet's like, oh my gosh, I would love it. And Brittany's like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything. And then Jax, of course, goes on the whole subject of what? That's right. This is the theme of the first episode. Kristen getting pregnant. Like, Jax is like a dog with a bone. So now he's going on about her getting pregnant. La, 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 la. But Jason in his interview said, Kristen would be a great mother. And he explains, she goes above and beyond for her friends. And apparently she was even there helping him plan, was videoing when he asked Janet to marry him. I mean, Kristen does have good qualities about her. I think she got a bad rap on Vanderpump Rules. Also, though, she was a little entitled, had a mouth, an attitude. But I think that she has evolved, matured since then. Well, at least I think so. But then again, we haven't seen the whole season of The Valley yet. So then we go into Jason and Janet. And Janet, oh, you know what? I totally forgot to tell you this. Janet in the beginning was wrapping Jason up with a whole bunch of fruit on his body with saran wrap. This was hysterical to make him think, or to make him feel, this is how I feel when I'm pregnant. It was kind of funny, actually. I mean, he's laying there with like cantaloupes as his boobs, and he's like, your boobs can't be that heavy. Yes, they can. Trust me. Yes, they can. So it is kind of funny to, see him all wrapped up with saran wrap. I totally forgot to tell you guys that. I don't know why. But anyway, so now, Jax and Brittany are setting up for the party. Well, I don't know how much setting up they're doing. It looks like they have a caterer. They probably have a party planner. But, from what everybody says, Brittany goes, when she has a party, she goes all out. She always has a theme. That's her thing. And the theme is the fair, like the county fair, And apparently Janet loves the county fair. So that is the theme. Nobody knew about it till they got there. So it's kind of a little surprise. So they're setting up, and everybody starts coming in. And, of course, Jax, there he is, a dog with a bone. I mean, he has nothing else to talk about but Kristen getting pregnant, And even in his interview at one point, he says, we've known Kristen for years. Like, Luke is screwed. Well, he didn't really say it that way, but, Gotta watch my language here. So, Janet finally comes in and she's all surprised. And she's like, oh my God, my favorite thing is the fair. And Brittany's like, I know, And so she's all excited. And she goes on to tell you that, everybody should go to the fair once and just, be trashy. Like, that's her intercourse self. She's very cute. So then, Michelle, Jesse's wife, is talking to Kristen, and she's saying, are you both on the same page? Because, take it from my experience that, you want to have certain conversations about raising kids. We didn't have those conversations, so I'm trying to give you my experience. You can really see that through this conversation, though, that things aren't good with Jesse and Michelle. And the way she's talking to Kristen, it's like, I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. That's kind of what you get from that conversation. And then, Danny starts explaining how, when he first got together with the group, like, he didn't really know who Jax was, and everybody, not in that circle, but out, probably family, friends from back home or whatever, was like, you don't know who Jax is? Like, he's the biggest douchebag in the world, which is kind of funny he said that. I thought that, I chuckled when I heard that. But then his wife, Nia, this is during the interview, and his wife, Nia, said, listen, people can change. Give them a chance. People can change. Then, in the meantime, Jax and Jesse are sitting poolside, just, having a nice little conversation. And Jesse brings up the fact that him and Michelle are going through kind of a hard time. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And Jax is like, well, you're not talking about separation or anything, right? And Jesse's like, well, the conversation's been had. And Jax is all surprised. And he's like, you brought it up? He goes, no, Michelle did. Jesse, you are telling the wrong person, I have a feeling. Because I'm thinking by the next episode, everyone's going to know what you said. I just have this feeling. I could be wrong. Jax might keep it to the vest. I don't know about that, but maybe. And so they're talking, and now Lala and Sheena and Brock enter. This is the intertwining Vanderpump Rules, the Valley. They need to make an appearance so you can see how everybody's connected type deal. And Jax, of course, is talking to Lala. And what do you think he's talking to her about? You guessed it. The same conversation about Kristen having a baby. And he's like, you should know. I mean, you're a single mother. Like, she should take a page out of your book, And Lala's like, uh-huh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So then he's now like basically, in the kit. Oh, no, wait a minute. Before that, Kristen is with Jesse, just chatting it up with Jesse. And they're like joking around, and Kristen's like, get out of here. And she like pretends to twist his nipple. But then he goes to twist hers. It's a little weird. I mean, I know everybody's supposed to be equal, but I think there's a line there. And Kristen says that too. Like, you don't have the right to be near my boobs. Like, yeah. So then Lala comes in, and they're still standing there, and somebody comes up, and they're handing them cards. I think they're getting ready to play a game, And Jesse's wife, Michelle, is there, and so he says, let my wife choose a card first. And then he says, then my mistress will choose. And he's referring to Lala standing next to him. And she kind of looks at him, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I need to be correct about this. Is it now a side piece? What are you talking about? That is so weird to say. And in front of your wife. Hello? And Lala's like, dude, like, this guy, something's up. Which, yeah, I mean, it was just a little bit crazy. So this is how the pool party is going, okay? All these little tiny conversations, but I have to tell you, the main conversation is Kristen getting pregnant. I mean, that's basically how this is rolling, okay? And so, Jax now is in the kitchen still talking about Kristen to everybody that'll listen. And finally, I think it was maybe Lala or some of the girls got together and said, Kristen, you need to come into the kitchen. Because the whole conversation is about you. So, Kristen comes in and she's like, what you talking about? And Jax is like, I just want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, by this whole baby thing. And, Kristen's like, who are you to tell me when it's right for me to be a mother, And it starts getting emotional. She starts getting upset. And everyone's trying to explain to him that, you're hurting her feelings. And he's like, we're like brother and sister. Like, we've been friends for 16 years, And Kristen's like, you're hurting me. That just went right over Jax's head. Just saying. I mean, there was no, computing that, processing it, nothing. It just was like, went right over his head. And, of course, Jax is like, what if you break up? And she's like, we're not going to break up. And he's like, well, you've broken up with the last 5 guys. Like, that's how this whole conversation is going. I mean, it's a little crazy. And, in between all these conversations, at one point, Michelle says to Jesse, don't you think you might want to check on our daughter? And he turns around and says to her, no. That tells you how this relationship is going. They're definitely being transparent. Are they meaning to be transparent? God, if they're not, how is it really behind closed doors type deal? You see what I'm saying? Because it's definitely giving us the vision of, like somebody's heading for the big D word, and it might not be pretty because they work together. So, towards the end of the party, everybody's having a good time, and it's time for Danny and Nia to leave because they have a babysitter at home for their daughter. They bought the baby twins so that everybody could see the babies. And her sister was kind of like looking over the twins while, they could have adult time with the party. So it's, time to leave. And Jax goes up to Danny and pulls his shorts down. Now, what Jax didn't realize is that he had a bathing suit on. This was not regular shorts. So guess what? He has no underwear on. Yep. So right away, you see him go, and Jax is like, oh God, whoops, and laughing. And Nia was standing next to her husband, and all of a sudden she just goes walking back crying to the back room. All the girls follow her, and she's like, I'm emotional, and this is, coming here was emotional, and she's just losing it over Jax pulling her husband's pants down. And of course, no judgment. She just had twins. She's breastfeeding. She has another child to worry about. It's a lot. Any mother who has been there and just gave birth, I mean, this has just been a month, you're emotional. The hormones are still running. It's a lot. And so, of course, Brittany's like, I'm so sorry. He was just, making a joke. And, the last thing I wanted to do is make you cry at a party, And then Jax, of course, Brittany yells at Jax, come in here and say you're sorry, Nia. And so Jax comes in and he's like, I'm sorry, Nia. I'm really, really sorry. It was a bad joke and I shouldn't have done it. And that's how that goes. Right? So the party's going on. You can see everybody's having a good time. Jax gets into, the box, where you sit over the water and somebody tries to dunk you. A dunking booth, I guess that's what it's called. And so Janet throws it and hits it, and Jax gets dunked. And that's pretty much where this episode ended. So what do you guys think? Was it good? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because it really is just giving you the introduction of all the castmates, who they are, what they do, where they live, if you know how many children they have. But the whole theme of this episode was Kristen having a baby and Jax talking about it to everyone. I mean, I'm thinking he goes to get the mail in the morning and he's talking to, the mail guy going, hey, did I tell you that Kristen Doty's trying to have a baby? This is just the wrong thing to do. I mean, like, he just would not let it go. And that was the theme of the entire episode. Is it going to be like that every episode? God, I hope not. But what do you think? I would love to hear what you think. First episode, kind of exciting, but yet, we just have to wait and see how it goes. But in the meantime, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.